Good morning, Year 9. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please could you write the date and title, The Masked Ball, Resolution and New Plots. For this lesson you'll need a copy of the extract from Act 2 Scene 1 or the whole play, access to YouTube to watch the clip of the scene, and different coloured pens or highlighters. Pause the video to make sure you have everything you need. Okay, so for your do now, I would like you to answer these questions. What are the function of masks? And name 2 problems caused by masks in the bit we read last time. Pause the video for 5 minutes to do that now. So functions of masks: to deceive and to hide one's true feelings. Problems: Claudio thinks Don Pedro has got Hero for himself, and Benedick is unhappy with what Beatrice has said about him. So today's focus is who is Don Pedro? I would like you to watch these clips from Act 2 Scene 1, The Masked Ball, the second half of it, and write down your first impressions about why Don Pedro is important in the scene. Pause this video for 10 minutes to do that now. Okay, so Benedick tries to tell Claudio that Don Pedro has wooed Hero for him. Pause the video briefly to read through it, focusing on the highlighted sections. Okay, so here, Claudio misunderstands and thinks that Benedick is saying that Don Pedro has got Hero for himself. Benedick is surprised and asks Claudio if he really thinks Don Pedro would treat him this way. So remember, Claudio is easily deceived by others, even those he was formerly friends with, or as we see later on, people he was in love with, such as Hero. And then we have a mini soliloquy from Benedick at the end of this section, shows us what's on his mind. In other words, Beatrice. Okay, again, pause the video. In this section, Benedick reports back to Don Pedro and focus once again on the highlighted sections. So here, Benedick describes Claudio as being like a schoolboy who has shown his friend a bird's nest and then is upset when the friend steals it. He's referring to Claudio's belief that Don Pedro has stolen Hero. Once Don Pedro mentions Beatrice, Benedick talks about her for ages. He tells Don Pedro what she said, declares he would never marry her, nobody suggested it, and then says not to talk about her, before going to talk about her some more. So quite amusing there from Benedick, tells us that even though he claims not to have feelings for her, he clearly does. So now let's go on to the next scene. Next section. Beatrice arrives and Benedick storms off. Once again, pause the video, read through what's on the slide, focusing on the highlighted sections. So Benedick asks Don Pedro for any job possible, using lots of hyperbole, so exaggerated language, so he doesn't have to spend time with Beatrice. Don Pedro refuses to give him an errand, wanting him to stay and see what happens. Benedick then storms off, calling Beatrice Lady Tongue, an insult about her sharp tongue and quick wit. Remember earlier he called her Lady Disdain, so she's always a lady, so that's really interesting. Even when he's insulting her, he can't, there's always a little bit of a compliment there as well. So, formerly Lady Disdain, now called Lady Tongue. Here we get a hint again at some history between them. Benedick had won Beatrice's heart before, but falsely, which is very intriguing. Once again, pause the video, read through the text on the slide, focusing on the highlighted sections. So Beatrice has succeeded where Benedick failed and has brought Claudio to Don Pedro. Don Pedro and Leonato then share the happy news. Claudio was nearly speechless and they gave me hear nothing from Hero. Here Claudio speaks for her. Again, pause the video, read through the information on the slide. So first, Don Pedro offers to find Beatrice a husband. When she jokes that she would like one like him, he offers to marry her. She takes it as a joke and says that he's too fancy for her. He takes the joke well. Maybe he was joking too, or maybe he was being sincere. Who knows? And finally, Don Pedro has a plan. Pause video to read it through. Okay, so Don Pedro has spotted the similarities between Beatrice and Benedick and isn't fooled by their behaviour towards each other. There's a week until the wedding, so they need something to pass the time. He decides to bring them together, but will need help to do it. They will play Cupid to help fool the two into loving each other. So what has Don Pedro done so far in the play? Write a list, pause the video for 5 minutes to do this. So he's brought all the men to Leonato's house. He promised to help Claudio win Hero. He wooed Hero for Claudio. He arranged things with Leonato for Claudio. He tried to get Benedick to spend more time with Beatrice. He proposed to Beatrice, we're unsure how serious this is, and he's plotted to get Beatrice and Benedick together. So he's definitely quite a significant character in this play. Please make a note of what's on the slide. Okay, so Don Pedro has a plan. Explore how Don Pedro's power and impact are shown in this short speech. Come, you shake the head at so long a breathing, but I warrant thee, Claudio, the time shall not go dully by us. I will in the interim undertake one of Hercules' labours, which is to bring Signor Benedick and the Lady Beatrice into a mountain of affection, the one with the other. I would fain have it in a match, and I doubt not but to fashion it, if you three will but minister such assistance as I shall give you direction. Pause the video for 5 minutes to annotate it now and answer the question. Hint: what words tell the audience that it will be difficult to make Beatrice and Benedick fall in love, that Don Pedro wants Benedick and Beatrice to love each other a lot? Okay, so at the start he sounds fatherly, noticing Claudio's childish impatience. Warrant: implication of a senior officer giving knowledge as superior. Hercules' labours, an allusion suggesting that Don Pedro has the strength and power of this demigod. We've got a metaphor of a mountain, emphasising the size and scale of the task. He will give the instruction. Okay, so now we're going to compare Don Pedro to his brother Don John. What do these two have in common, and what is different about them? Pause the video for 5 minutes to do this now. So, commonalities: both are making plots and plan to influence the lives of others, and both are people who are willing to serve and to help them. Differences: one is the prince, the other a bastard. One plans to try and improve others' lives, the other to destroy them. So a clear contrast between these two key characters. So who is Don Pedro? I would like you to write a paragraph exploring the impact Don Pedro has upon the plot. Consider the impact of the audience on the audience and make sure you've included evidence from the text as well. You could also add details about how Don Pedro functions to show contrast to his brother. Pause the video for 10 minutes to do this now. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for your work today. Next time we'll be rereading some of the key bits of Beatrice and Benedick from Act 2, Scene 1 to look at how their relationship is presented. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.